That's how y'all got in trouble. Talking about we just spreading love, spreading love. Did you spread love to the girl that was passed out in the fucking bedroom?
Hello, black hole. See this fucking way, man. Hey, look, what is your win, babe? What is your win, babe? What is your win, babe?
Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit Uptopbeauty.com. Today's lookies would be our Priscilla frames. I think this is number 2. And our Lupus wood bangle bundle. Okay, I decided to keep this. This is not for sale. This is the small medium, but this one, the medium large, is up on the site now. That's if it hasn't already been purchased. My bad, because you know I do these videos in advance. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Duke Fakir's I'll Be There, My Life with the 4 Tops. Levi jumped in laughing. Barry, you can't say that's going to be a bigger hit than I Can't Help Myself. You done lost your touch, baby. Barry joined him laughing too. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big hit. I echoed Levi. Come on, man. We've got momentum. All of our records are soaring up the charts. You put that out, it'll be number 20 with an anchor. He had to laugh himself, but we could see he was serious, and we almost started arguing with him, not believing it was a good song to follow up with. We ended up leaving his office pissed. Next minute, you know, the song is on the radio. Sounding good. Berry Gordy was like, I told you. Eventually, it became the number 1 song across the world. It was a bigger hit than I Can't Help Myself. I didn't even think it would sell 6 copies. Neither did Levi, Obi, or Lawrence. But the other tops were just as enchanted when they heard it on the radio. Now, remember I told you, if the Europe like it, the England, the United Kingdom, all them peoples over there, if they like it, then, you know, they want to come over to the black folks and touch it. Hey, black folks, my name is, what's his name? Brian Epstein. I take care of the Rolling Stones, and baby, I could take care of you too. When Brian Epstein foretold that he'd make us as popular as the boys from Liverpool, who were an international phenomenon, we gladly put ourselves in his hands. His first step was bringing us over to the UK for a promotional tour with various bookings and lots of television appearances. So they did at the party. Okay, the parties, the UK parties, child. I know that thing was crazy. At the party were the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Who, Small Faces, and every other group in the country who was on the charts or on their way up. It was a party to behold. The first floor was for meeting and greeting, saying hello and thank you and drinking a little bit, which we all did. Paul McCartney, you know, that's the Beatle, the rich one, the really, 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 really rich one, asked about It's the Same Old Song, which he was a big fan of. He told us he thought it was unique. It had a very particular sound to it, and he loved the rhythm. He said something like, that's some bad motherfucking music. Moving upstairs at the party on the 2nd floor, folks were smoking hash and weed. Everybody started gravitating up there. England had always been a little bit more open about getting high, judging by today's standards. It may seem like it was a big drug scene, but in the 60s and 70s, it was all a part of the culture. The way people partied and had mind-altering experiences. It wasn't like we were drug addicts. It was all about spreading kindness, joy, love, and happiness. I wonder if that's what the Bill Cosby said in his defense when they was round there giving him the business. Okay. That's how y'all got in trouble. Round here talking about, we just spreading love, spreading love. Did you spread love to the girl that was passed out in the fucking bedroom? Is that what happened? Fakir, I don't know you. Fakir, I don't know you like that. I'm just saying, I know it was a different time, but bad behavior is a bad behavior. I've spoken before about the culture, all right? To them, it's like nothing to give a girl a quaalude. She passed out. Next minute, you know, he crawling all over her with his sister. And that's the kind of stuff that happened back then. That was actually considered okay. And I'm glad about the Me Too movement. I think I was having too much fun because I never made it up to the third floor of the party. Yeah, they probably was fucking up there on the third floor. I had the driver to take me home. And it was not too long after our first amazing tour of the UK that Brian Epstein died of an accidental overdose of sleeping pills. It was a huge, tragic loss. Just as Brian Epstein had his finger on the pulse of British listeners and audiences, the songwriting team of Holland Dozier Holland knew the formula for success in America and ultimately the world. Once Barry saw how ravenous our British fans were, acting as crazy as the Beatles fans over there, he did everything possible to keep our product flowing across the Atlantic. He seized a perfect opportunity after we'd returned to Detroit for a long tour. He headed straight back into the studio with HDH to record a soon-to-be released out. So Barry came into the studio and sized us up. Hey, Tops. Y'all don't sound like y'all are excited. You don't have the same usual vibrant sound you usually have. That got our attention. We popped out of our lackadaisical attitude fast. Y'all need to sing a little more inspirational. I'm going to give you some inspiration, and I know you know how much we all like to bet. There's a great song that's beginning to gain steam by a group called The Left Bank. And it's already top 10 on America's charts. I'm going to bet that you can record that same song and make it even bigger. Barry smiled, seeing we were all in. Walk away, Renee, he said, awaiting our surprised reaction. The next day, we recorded Walk Away, Renee, with HDH producing. Sure enough, Barry released the song right away, and sure enough, that mother hunchy shot up the charts just like boom. It reached number 3 on the UK charts and made it into the top 20 in the US, with Barry eventually having us record it in Italian and releasing it in Italy, where we had a huge fan base. The success of Walk Away, Renee was bittersweet for us, for it came on the heels of HDH's departure in 1967. We were to be reunited again 10 years later, but our days with HDH at Motown were something special. Like capturing lightning in a bottle. We loved performing MacArthur Park live. We didn't need studio embellishments or recording tricks either. Levi could sing the shit out of it, and when our harmonies kicked in, the whole house would just go crazy, especially if we performed it with the symphony orchestra. One of the greatest songs of the 20th century, What's Going On, wasn't a Four Tops recording, but we were there at its inception. One of the Tops, Obie Benson, co-wrote it with Marvin Gaye and Al Cleveland. What's Going On, an R&B classic that crossed over into pop, rock, and whatever category wanted to claim it, is honored by Rolling Stone magazine as one of the greatest songs of all time. It is truly a reflection of the times. Well, first of all, I didn't know that who helped him write this, co-wrote it with Obie. I didn't know that, Obie. I mean, you learn something new each time. And if I read it in one of the Marvin Gaye books that we read together, I missed it. I don't know why it didn't hit until this book, but now I know. To put it bluntly, after I divorced, I vowed I would never, ever get in that shit again. I had been burned by my ex-wife. I knew that I wasn't perfect either, but I wasn't looking for another wife. In fact, I was actively turning the other way, but there she was, sitting in the studio, watching us record, expressionless, nonchalant. She had been voted the prettiest girl in a racially mixed class of over 500 students. Not only was Piper beautiful with golden caramel colored skin, dark hair, and doe-shaped eyes, she was accomplished, ambitious, and smart, having just completed a year at Spelman College. She had recently returned to Detroit and enrolled in the University of Michigan. Piper had always had her pick of boyfriends. Her attitude was blasé and aloof, unimpressed. That's the thing that separates the women. With Mary Wilson, when you got that pressed nature, men can smell that. No, that's not a challenge. I ain't got to do nothing. I could just come in the room and she'll drop to her knees. No disrespect to the Mary Wilson. I'm just saying, frankly. But that Piper, if a dude come in the room, Piper ain't paying him no attention. She like, I got stuff to do. I'm thinking about a test I got to take. And I've had a street dude to tell me before, what's most important to him is that when the woman has her own business, when she has her own business, then she don't have time to stunt him, which in turn makes him want to chase. But if all you doing is chasing him in your spare time, they not attracted to that. They want a woman who got their own shiz going on. Somebody that's too busy to be worried about him. And that's what Piper was giving to Fakir. After my first glimpse, I asked Denise Gordy, Barry's niece, who was hanging out with her that night, to make an introduction. In all my travels to meet someone who was as good looking and classy as Piper in my own hometown was intriguing. Frankly, I never met anyone like this young lady, and right away I could tell she was the whole package. I wasted no time in inviting her to return to the studio for another session as my special guest. Piper came back a couple of nights in a row. Finally, we went out, just the two of us, to a nice supper club, Mozambique. After a couple of drinks and something to eat, I looked at her and said, "You know what, Piper? I'm going to marry you." She laughed, not taking me the least bit seriously. "You know what, Duke? You're crazy." Well, that's what's going to happen. She took no prisoners from the very start. She captured me. I seriously started courting her. Yeah, baby. The fact that he is seriously courting her means that he is seriously into her. Ladies, do not allow these men, especially these old ones with worms, to try to tell you, oh, we don't, I don't do that go out thing. The Duke I was years before would never have gotten to first place with Piper. She set the bar high with strong values about family, education, life, and love. I'm telling you, the Nay I am now is nothing like the Nay I was then. The person that I was had things to put on the table, but the thing that I did not put on the table was independence. Just because you paying your own bills and driving your own car don't mean that you're independent mentally. Financially, you may be independent, but you're still dependent mentally. So Piper and I courted for a year or so in secret before her mother even knew. Still, our relationship kept growing and Piper kept working on her mother to get her ready for an introduction. Child, he went over there. He was good. It happened. There were lots of people who predicted that this was going to be a 2-week affair. It hurt me that my 4 tops brothers didn't give us a month. They saw our relationship as a match between a show business guy and a cute scholarly girl who had nothing in common. One of the guys actually had the nerve to say to me, "You're going to marry that skinny bitch?" I shot back. First of all, she ain't skinny, and she ain't no bitch. You're talking about the woman I'm going to marry. I would never say that about your wife. He quickly backed down. Yeah, well, I didn't mean it like that. I was pissed, but I knew where they were coming from. They were still friends with my first wife, Inez. Well, I'm sure Inez ain't sitting in the house crying. The prediction I made on my first real date with Piper that I was going to marry her came true in 1974. A year later, we welcomed our beautiful baby daughter, Farrah, into the world. It was a good thing that I got a chance to start over to build a strong home life to sustain me. Little did I know my Motown family was soon going to come apart. There were some acts at Motown that received special treatment, given more attention than others. Of course, the Supremes were Barry's most prized group. When Diana Ross broke out as a solo artist, the Supremes were downgraded to second-tier level. The Temptations, Smokey Robinson, and the Miracles, Stevie Wonder, and the Four Tops were pretty much the acts that Motown put out front. That all changed when the Jackson 5 arrived in 1969. Their youthful act was a game changer. It was around that time that the company decided to make a major shift, gradually moving its headquarters to Los Angeles. Barry had conquered the music industry. Now he set his sights on getting into the television and film business. From LA, Barry called Levi on the phone and pitched to him, "I've got a part in a movie for you." If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit Uptopbeauty.com for our Priscilla personality frames. This is number 2, and our Lupus wood bangle bundles. Now, remember this. The same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves you babies. Have a good one.